Hey everybody, it's Jesse, and today we're going to keep working on this section, if I can get it on the screen. Alright, so I figure we'll finish up this section because we're almost there. So kind of didn't want to move on to anything different. And as you can see, I've got all the correct logos in here now. So I actually went back and looked at my original code for this, and luckily when I first did this, this is the format that I put all the data for the logos in. I'm not even really sure why I did it like this. Because it was basically like a static page, but I think I was using handlebars for templating, and I did it like this. Obviously at the time I didn't use const because I had no idea what that was whenever I did this, and I didn't do it exactly like this, but basically I had a separate logos.js file, and it had this data at the top, and then passed it into handlebars template, which is awesome because I was really afraid I was going to have to actually type out this data. I had forgotten until about an hour ago that I did it like this. So I just copied and pasted this over, and in state I imported logos, and in state for data, now it's logos. So down here I'm putting in, I had to prefix this with the actual path since I'm using relative paths here, and then I just add the relative path onto the end, and everything's working. So that was really cool. That was that was definitely a time saver. So actually, even for now, I don't have to do anything. I can leave these logos where they are. I would prefer to house them somewhere else, just so that I have better, I guess, control over them, because I can't directly, the directory that these are in now, that this is referencing, I don't have any access to that. So what I had to do initially was send all these files. Like I literally had to email these files. Did I email them? It's possible that I was given access to some sort of network drive, but in any case, someone in the IT department had to copy and paste everything over because I wasn't allowed to have access to it, and I still don't have access. So I'd rather have these somewhere else. So I'll have to figure out where the best place to house these are, and maybe you can let me know what you think. I'm not really, I mean, obviously we're gonna have some sort of server for this, but alright, I don't know whose number that is. Sorry, my phone's ringing. I don't know the number, so I'm not gonna answer. Usually if I don't know the number, it's somebody trying to sell me something. Where was I? I lost my train of thought. Oh, okay. So obviously we're going to have some sort of node server to run this, but I don't really know. Should I house the files on that same server, or is there a better place that I could house the files? I'm thinking like maybe there's some sort of out-of-the-box thing that I haven't done before that might be cool to try. So let me know if you know of anything like that, and then we'll see. Like I said, we don't have to figure that out really at all for a while. I think I am just a little bit nervous since I don't have access to that folder. I can't, if something were to happen, I'd rather get the files out of there and at least backed up somewhere else if something were to happen. I'm pretty sure I have all these backed up at the very least on my computer, possibly in a cloud drive somewhere. But I would still feel better if it's in a different spot. So that's pretty much all I've done. I had a few pull requests. I think they're all pretty minor. I had some from Kevin, one from Sebastian, uh, kind of editing some environment variables so that we don't, when you're testing, it doesn't send a lot of projects to Rike when testing the service request form. And yeah, so you can check out, I think it was like 37, 38, and 39 with the pull request numbers if you want to check those out. And I think that's all. Oh, big change. I forgot that I changed this. So I changed the layout a bit in terms of how the logos are displayed. So yesterday we just had the logos and not in cards. I wanted to see what it would look like if I put them in cards. Obviously, I would want to space this out a bit. I mean, there needs to be some space between these. But other than that, my reasoning for wanting to put them in cards were that currently these all have white backgrounds. Possibly some have transparent backgrounds, but some of them definitely have white backgrounds. I don't think all of them I could do transparent. And our background here is that kind of gray color, but in the live site it's white. So it works that it looks like all the logos are just the logos, but when the logos were up against the gray, you could see the white outline, which I didn't think looked very good. So I thought, okay, well, if they're going to look like there's a square of white around them anyway, or a rectangle, why not make it a card? The other thing that I needed was a way to be able to click either JPEG or PSD. So I'll show you what it looks like right now. So here's the effect that I have right now. When you hover, these two little kind of buttons come up. One says web, one says print. We went back and forth initially as to what we should call this. Like, would people understand what a JPEG is, what a PSD is, and what they should use them for? So we ended up going with web and print because generally that's what people would end up using them for. I think I have click tracking on all these, so I may be able to find out, are people actually clicking these and which one they're really clicking more? Do we really need both? But for now, I didn't really want to do this same effect, and you all can let me know how you think this looks. I'm not sure. I'm not sure that I like. It seems like there's a lot going on. I think maybe I've gotten to like more simplistic design since I've done this, kind of less motion. So I don't really like that when you hover, not only does the logo appear to grow, but then you also have these, and then there's even a hover effect on these. So I'm not really sure what I want to do with it right now. I've just been kind of looking at it a lot and trying to visualize what it could be. So I don't want to change it dramatically because I want users to still be familiar with what they're used to. So we need to do something with that. We also need to do something with these here. Not really sure that how they currently are. I don't really know that I like that, but I'm not exactly sure what I want to do with that either. So I'm open to your ideas. Sometimes when I get to this point and I want to make a change, but I'm not sure, I look for like design inspiration elsewhere. So I'll go through usually like other sites that use material design and see how they've handled similar use cases. And usually I can get some inspiration. I really don't like to, let's say, copy anybody's design exactly. because I don't know, there's just something in me that wants to do it, wants to have my own kind of spin on it. But I do like to see how it's handled. So maybe I'll do some of that. We'll see. But there are a few things that definitely need worked on now. So we need to connect the data to these buttons for the links to be able to work. I'd like to be able to add the correct alt text titles to these images. Definitely add some space between these cards. Still not sure if we'll keep the cards or not. And possibly even some padding. Right? I don't like how that is touching the sides there. Most of the other logos are okay, but some of them still touch. All right, so that's basically an overview of the problems that we're going to try to solve today, and we'll see how far we get and what we come up with. I just pushed to the GitHub repo, and let me check this time because yesterday I thought I pushed and then I had some errors, and so I went like for an hour without realizing that the code wasn't updated. But in fact, it was updated. It did work. So the latest version of the code is in the master branch in the Git repo for this project. The link's in the description, so you all can check that out. I'm going to check the live chat before I start the Pomodoro timer just to see what you all think. I know I asked several questions at the beginning, and I haven't checked for any answers yet. So we're going to do that. Also, I guess for anybody who's new, I haven't done like the normal what's this show about thing for a while. So for anybody who's new that's watching, I'm a front-end developer, and this is me doing my everyday work. So it's not rehearsed. I'm going to make mistakes, and we're going to try to work through them. It's not exactly a tutorial, although I try my best to explain what I'm doing, and at various levels, even some basic things, because we have people of all skill levels in here. Feel free to ask any questions. I'll take breaks periodically to answer questions, and then at the end, I'll try to answer every question that I had missed throughout the show. Let's see. There's a second stream on Instagram that's a view of me as I'm coding and my office. So you can check that out if you want to. It's kind of just more like a novelty thing because obviously the main thing is the code and not really my face. But occasionally people check in and I guess maybe they're curious to see what I look like, what my office looks like. And if you happen to be watching this on Instagram or the recording, check out the freeCodeCamp YouTube channel, and you'll get a better idea of what I'm doing because you'll be able to see the code in my screen. Okay, so enough introduction. Let's check out what you all have to say about this project and some of the problems that I want to say problems. Some of the use cases and issues we're gonna deal with. So. Oh, okay. So I had a comment a while before the stream started, so I'm not even sure if. So this is from MindBlocks Coder. Not sure if you're still watching, but MindBlocks Coder said maybe you should try doing streams earlier. I've thought about doing different times. Occasionally, I do streams at different times. In fact, this week I've varied the times. I think last week I did an early stream, which it would have been in the morning for my time zone. But I'm certainly open to changing the time that I do these. This time in the afternoon seems to be a good time to where I can be most consistent. I do have some meetings that I always have, let's say like in the morning. So if I were to change it to a different time earlier, I probably couldn't be consistent every day with that time. But I'm open to it. Just let me know what you think. Let me know in the live chat, but it might actually be more helpful to put a comment to this video, and then that way I'll be able to see it later on. So especially for the people who are going to watch the recording, obviously the live stream's not at a good time for you. So let me know when a good time would be preferably if you could figure out when that time would be in Eastern time, that would be great. But otherwise, if you don't want to do that, just let me know what time zone you're in as well, so I could figure out what time that would be for me. And I'm definitely open to trying that. I think it would be cool to let other people be able to participate in the live stream. But otherwise, I'm going to try to stick with this time unless I find out that there's a significant number of people who would rather have it at a different time. Cool. Mayank says, great work, dude. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks for watching. Abhishek says, nicely done. Thank you. Thanks. You all are very, very kind today to start out with. So, hey, everyone. A few people were saying hi. Okay, so I did ask a question about where to store these images. Patrick says maybe AWS S3. Rohan says, let's not go for the nuclear option. So maybe that would be overkill for what we need. But actually, I do these small projects, and sometimes I do think that the way I do some of them might be overkill for that particular project. But keep in mind, what I'm trying to do with these small projects is not only fulfill all of the requirements for that particular project, but prepare for larger projects. So the main website for my university, franciscan.edu, needs redone. I think it's badly in need of being redone because the site is very, very slow. And then, not to mention design outdated. You know, there's a lot of things that need updated, but the number one thing for me is nobody's going to stick around to even see what it looks like because the load times are insane. And I've gotten the load times down about as far as I think I can given the current system. So all of these small projects, I want to test out something that I know I'll probably need with a larger project. So while it might not be necessary for a smaller project, in the bigger picture of what I'm trying to do as a whole, I need that test. I need to be able to prove it. I'd like to be able to say to my boss and the people higher up who are going to have to approve things, I'd like to be able, when I lay out my plan, to say, hey, all these things that I'm saying that I can do, I've done them here with this site, that site, so they can actually go and see it and see that it works and that I've tested it. Because it is going to sound a bit crazy when I propose all this. It's going to be much different than their current setup, which, you know, the setup is just a traditional .NET-based content management system hosted on Windows servers here on campus in our IT department. Very old school setup. So what I'm proposing, just, you know, briefly, is a React site pulling data from content management system, maybe WordPress, but then having just heavy caching to handle the load and load balance across, I don't know, maybe like half a dozen DigitalOcean droplets to handle to where like copies of all the React apps will be. Potentially drawing data from multiple WordPress installs from different sites. So that concept is really foreign, I think, to a lot of people. So it would be great to be able to say, like, hey, we've done it. So if you notice in the last project, we did the load balancing, right? We pulled in data from WordPress. So anyway, hopefully you understand what I'm saying, because I have had people ask, definitely more than once, like, why are you doing it like this? Do you really need to do that? And that's really why. I mean, I do want to make really good sites, so it's cool to try to use the latest thing, even if I, don't have to. But I'm trying to prove by actually doing these things that my plan will work for the main site. So anyway, sorry, that was a long time spent on what wasn't even really a question from you. Just just popped into my head, but it is an answer to questions I've received previously about the same topic. Okay, David says, what about storing them in Mongo or something? Yeah, I'm thinking about that. I'm actually considering some sort of database. Like I said, don't really know if it's necessary, but once again, like it's not just about what's necessary for the project. It's about what should I be testing and learning to prepare for other projects that I know I'll need to do. Sebastian said, card style looks good. The hovering button kind of overkill. Yeah. Okay, Sebastian says the card style. So I'd asked what you all think about this. So he said, card style goes straight to the point. You see the image, choose the format. Really simple. Okay, yeah, that's kind of what I thought. The hover, you have to actually hover over the image. It's not even apparent what you're supposed to do with these images. You would think somebody would try to click, but I've noticed that people who aren't really that familiar with technology, they don't use it a lot, they're not really inclined to move around and click. Their mindset is, well, like if I don't move or click anything, I won't mess it up. Which is kind of weird, because obviously I'm sure all of us, when we go into a website, we're like, I'm clicking and hovering everything. Like, I want to see how this thing works. That's because that's what we do, you know. But I can't rely on that. You know, other people don't always work like that. So I agree, Sebastian. I think it would be better to have it more straightforward like this, but still open. I just don't love how this looks. So I'm trying to think of a way to make it look a bit better. I mean, maybe it'll look better when I put in the proper spacing here. We'll see. We'll mess around with it today and see what it looks like. Rohan said, watching the Instagram stream, where is the mic? You mean like where actually, like, you can't see the mic in the image, or is the mic messed up on the Instagram stream so you can't hear my voice? So while I'm waiting for the delay and the answer to that, I'll take another question. So Code Beastie says, what's a good resource to learn front-end development? I'm experienced on the back end, wanting to get into front-end. And Sebastian says, for basics, check freeCodeCamp, and then Udacity and Learn Code Academy. Yeah, I definitely agree. Those are great resources. That'll get you on the right path for sure. All right, David said, watching from Ireland, so don't make it too early. Yeah, that's the thing. If I change the time, it'll work better for some people, but worse for others. There's not really any way around it. You know, we have people from all over the world, so I don't know. Maybe I can try to vary so that I don't know. Some days of the week I'll do it in the afternoon, some days in the morning, and then I don't know. I'll think about it. Okay, Patrick must have visited the main site, franciscan.edu, and he says it's brutally slow. Yes. Yes, it is. Rohan says, I would suggest a common static content CDN or just a different droplet for all sites going forward. I like that idea. I like that. We had thought about that before for a different project. And I think that would be really useful. Rowan says, clicking and hovering. I have DevTools open all the time. I didn't want to go that far with it, but I'm the same way. I have my browser extension here, right? So it tells me what everything's built from all the time. So I'm always looking at this and then also going to DevTools if I see something odd, like, or I just want to know, how did they do that? So yeah, I'm right with you there. Oh, okay. So Rohan asked the mic for YouTube recording. It's in there. Actually, yeah, it's hard to get the mic and me in the recording at the same time. So yeah, I just tried it. I'm kind of like, my face is way off to the side, and you can't really see all of it. So Anyway, it's an odd. I have to have it at enough away from the mic so that it doesn't cause interference, but then it also makes it so that basically the angle of it is coming like from where I have the live chat, the screen that I have the live chat on. So when I'm looking at the live chat, it's a decent angle because I'm looking pretty much right at the camera for on my phone. But when I look at the code, I'm turned completely, kind of sideways, so you get a side profile of me. But not really anything I can do about it. I'd rather have the mic be in the central location so everyone can hear. Because as I said, I mean, I consider the Instagram just kind of a secondary novelty thing. Oh, cool. Rohan says the audio on YouTube is very consistent even though you move a lot. Awesome. Yeah, the mic is basically like as in the middle as I can get it without blocking a screen. So, so far it's been working out well. It was a really cheap mic. I got it like on Amazon it was a good deal. I want to say it was like less than $15 or something. But it got good reviews, so I thought it was worth a shot. Okay, let's get to some code. So Gavin did ask, did he complete the logo screen in the last live thing? So I didn't exactly complete it. We got to the point where we had some of this up here, but we just had some like testing. So it wasn't these this content or these names. And we had some, like just one image in here to test, but it actually wasn't even loading. So we had the little broken image icon, but it was enough to test that they were getting on the page, and then when we clicked these up here, it changed. Since then, I pulled in data for all the images so that we could get all the actual images that are going to be on this once it's live, and I put it in some cards, and then I also put in the proper names. So in terms of code, you could see I just put these in up here. It's not really a super long list, so I'm kind of okay with it being here, but I could see like it might make sense to move this somewhere else as well. I could move it over here to this file and export that as well. So we'll see. I will. If this starts to get long, right now it's so short it just doesn't bother me. If it starts to get longer, maybe we'll move it. Maybe just to keep things clean. But for now, this is here, and then all the data is over here in this logo data.js, and I have a new directory called data, and that's where that's in. So I haven't really done a lot. It looks on the screen like it's a pretty big change, but in terms of the code, it's not really a lot. So let's set the Pomodoro timer and start doing something. So if you're not familiar with what we're doing here, I set the timer, I code for 25 minutes, and then I take 5 minutes and I check in with the live chat. If I need to check in with the live chat, if I'm stuck, if I have a question or something, I will check in occasionally even during that 25 minutes, but this just kind of keeps a nice pace so that I don't spend too much time on one or the other. Alright, so first things first, I absolutely know that I want to add some spacing in here. So let's work on that first, and then that'll give my brain like a little bit of time to think about what I want to try to clean this up. So we need spacing here, and then we need to add some padding to these cards. Yeah, so that's definitely want to do that. Okay, so for right now, we probably can just add bottom. Let's see. So we have our sass file for logos. So I'm going to try to do as much as I can in the sass file. Otherwise, something like this I would probably make an inline style. But since we have the sass file, let's try to keep this as clean as we can. So where are we at? Tabs. We don't want tabs. We want... I'm trying to... I guess we're... I think the only cards we'll actually have will be logos. I'm interested to see what this comes out as. Image. So it looks like, all right, we don't really have, by default, there's not really a class for those cards that we can use. So I'm going to have to add a class, which is not a big deal. I figured I'd add a class anyway. So class, and we're going to do class name, because in React, you can't use just class. Okay, obviously React is like, using JavaScript in here, and class is used, for other things in JavaScript. So we have to do class name, camel case. Then we can add our class names just as we normally do. So I think logo card is a decent name for this. And so now we can go logo card. And let me think. 24 pixels. Let's try 24 pixels. Anything? Oh, you know what? It looks like the class didn't not. It looks like the class wasn't applied. So let's do this. Let's just take this out. We don't really need that. I'm sure there's a way to add a class on here. I don't know. Maybe I did it wrong. But this will work too. Oops. Actually, what am I doing with this camel case? Look. It's the only thing I've noticed that messes me up, and only sometimes when I'm doing React. So with this JSX, you switch back and forth between camel case, and then when you're using the CSS, not inline, you normally use hyphens. So occasionally I'll use them in the wrong place. Let me make this bigger. I'm sorry, I forgot to. I made this smaller earlier so that I could see more of the code, and I didn't make it bigger. Logo card container, and then we're gonna say, yeah. Actually, let's see if it'll work just on the container. I wanted to put it on the card, but I don't think it'll really matter. Yeah, I guess it will. Now let's see. Did this? Okay, so the class did get applied, but it actually didn't apply our margin. Alright. I'm going to check the chat really quick, because this seems like one of the times where I made a silly mistake and you all would probably catch it. It's misspelled. Okay, awesome. Thank you. Contai. Thank you. I'm glad I remembered to check the live chat. If you haven't watched before, then you probably don't know what I'm talking about. But often it happens that when I have an issue, I'll try for 5-10 minutes to figure it out on my own, and then I'll look at the live chat and realize that right away somebody, usually more than one person, has caught my mistake and told me about it, and I just didn't think to look over. So thank you for that. Logo card container. Let's see. I don't know. There we go. Alright, so we are getting that margin on the bottom. I'm not sure where that's... Our margin bottom is not even showing up though in DevTools, which is weird. I have DevTools open on my other screen. Oh, okay, I see it. It's just really far down, down the list. Okay. So that took longer than expected due to mainly just a typo. Yeah, I like that. I may put a media query in there and make it smaller on mobile. I know on mobile I might actually, we'll see how it looks and how much time I want to put into this, but I kind of like the idea of not having the cards, or basically having the cards take up the entire width and then just having a line dividing them, so it almost really wouldn't be a card anymore. So you could see in the material design spec there are examples of that. I mean, and then there's also examples of material design apps that will use cards in a row like this as well. So I've seen it both ways. I'll see. I'll get out my phone and test on there and see what it's like. Okay. Now let's add our padding, actually around our cards, and maybe, now that I think about it, it would be useful to have a class on here. Where's our component? Try this. Okay. How would I? What do you think? Do I need to pass this down as a prop and then put it on here? Because I'm almost positive that this has worked before to just add the class name directly onto a component, and it works. It comes out in the final markup. I mean, maybe it's just the way the components are set up. Okay. Classes, logo card. Oops. Import. There we go. That's why. Syntax highlighting is really nice in that you get used to how things are, the color it's supposed to be, so you immediately know when you mess something up because it doesn't change to the color that you know it should be. So in that case, I knew I was doing something wrong here. I didn't actually catch what it was immediately. I ended up adding this into here, thinking it had something to do with this. In reality, it was because I put this in quotation marks instead of in curly brackets. But it was better in the end anyway. Now it's more consistent. So let's see if this works now. So what I'm trying to do here then is just pass whatever classes that I want this to have down to this component to see if then it will actually work as a class name, since it wasn't before. Yep, and now it does work. So now these do have the class name of logo card. So now we can use that in our sass file. Logo card. If you're not familiar with sass, you can nest CSS rules like that, and basically that would be the same as if I did, logo card container and then logo card in regular CSS. So it basically gets turned into that as soon as I save it, and it gets saved in the logos.css file. Just a lot less to type out, especially when you're nesting things. Not really a great idea to nest things too deep. It gets kind of messy, but 3 deep, I'm okay with 3 deep. So if you start getting like 4 or more, then probably not really necessary. Alright, so on the logo card, we want padding. So let's give it some padding. I don't want top or bottom padding right now. Let's see. I should probably check to see. No, actually, I do want there. It looks like there's no top padding currently. That makes sense. Actually, let's see. Now that I think about it, we don't really need padding on the whole thing. We just need padding around this section, around the image section. So that currently the div that holds the image does not have a class. Let's see if we can find it, and if that would be easy. Okay, card media overlay. Not the overlay. We want the image itself. If we're gonna put a class anywhere, it'll probably be here. So let's do image container. All right. Hopefully. Okay, well that's not too bad. It got actually on the outer div, so that's, I don't know why it's nested two divs. Actually, one, two. Yeah, there's two divs, probably because one of them ends up being the overlay and the other one is the container. But for now, since we're not having an overlay on these, I'm okay with that. And we can just select that image container. Oops. And I'll spell container right this time. And then now we can do, let's give it 8 pixels all the way around. I'm not exactly sure why. I'm sure there's a good reason for it, but for some reason in material design, it seems like things go in 8s. So, you have 8 pixels, 16 pixels, and like normally you see mostly just 8 and 16s a lot in the documentation. So that's what I normally start with. And that usually seems to work pretty well, and it looks right with the rest of what's going on in material design. Alright, not bad. Although now that I look at it, it probably is a good idea to not include the padding at the bottom, because we have quite a bit of white space here. So I think that's just not necessary. So let's take this and we'll go 8, 8, 0, and then 8. Alright, so if you're not familiar with this way of writing this in CSS, when you do all 4, it goes top, right, bottom, left. If you were just going to do 2, the first one is top and bottom, and then the second one is right and left. And it looks like, did I mess it up? I must have messed something up because it does not look, what did I do? Padding 8, 8, 8. What did I do wrong? So we still have our image container. Oh, silly mistake. No commas. There we go. So I'm just going to leave that up there for another second. So do not put commas in between these. I don't know why I did that. Okay, I like that better. It's not a huge difference. I mean, I can see it because I was really looking for it. It's not something that would jump out at you as a change, but I think overall, if you're talking about all these cards, it's a significant decrease in the overall amount of scrolling that you have to do to get around, if you add up all those 8 pixels down the line. Okay, that looks better. We have some padding. It could probably do with a little bit more padding, but I'm okay with that. I don't want these images to be too small in comparison to the cards, because the logo images are the whole point of the page. It's the focus. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and commit this because basically this is just margin and padding stuff. It goes together before we move on to anything else. be a good time to commit. This will also be a good kind of example of how to commit. I know I go through this example frequently, but I figure I'm sure there's always somebody possibly new who hasn't seen it, who's just starting out, maybe hasn't even used Git before. So in the terminal, we already have gone through some installation and setup to have Git running. So this definitely there takes something to get to this point. But once you have Git running, if you want to commit, which is like basically a snapshot of your project at that point in time, then here's how you do it. First thing I always do is type git status, and that might be, I'll go a little bigger. I type git status. This lets me know what files have changed. This is really good. You may have accidentally changed a file and not realized it, and then this will remind you. Like maybe you changed something that you shouldn't have, and this is a way to catch it. Otherwise, this at least will verify that, hey, the stuff that I wanted to change is in fact changed, and these are the things that we've changed. So now I'm going to do a git commit, and this is kind of a shorthand. We're going to put a flag here. We're going to put the A flag, which means add. So we're going to combine two steps. Normally you would git add and then you would git commit, but we're combining them. So we're going to git commit, and then with A, and we're going to put M. M means we get to put a message right in line and with this commit. If we didn't put the M when we hit enter, it would bring up whatever our default editor was, and we'd have to type the message in there. But for now, I'll just say add padding to logos and bottom margin to cards. Yeah. And in terms of the commit message, there are different ways that people like to do that, and there are some standard ways. So I'd say maybe just check out the way that is recommended by some of how other companies do it and things, and figure out what way works for you. If it's a small project and it's just you working on it, not a huge deal. But if you're working with a lot of other people, you definitely want to have some sort of standard way to do commit messages. All right, so the commit has gone through. Normally you won't see all of this stuff. This is unique to our project, that we have all these tests running and some auto formatting, but you will see this part here at the bottom if it's worked. So 3 files changed, and it lets us know 14 insertions, 4 deletions. Great. Now we want to make sure this gets synced up to our repo on GitHub, so we type git push. That's going to push the code up to GitHub. Origin master. So we're pushing the master branch. There we go. Great. Everything worked. Now, if we were, well, I'm not going to go there, but if we were to go to the Git repo, the code would be exactly the same as it is on our local machine. Great. And that was perfect timing. So now we can take 5 minutes to go over to the live chat, going to answer some questions, and then we'll come back to the code. All right, so I'm going to, whoa, there's actually a lot in the live chat, so you all have been busy. That's awesome. I like when the live chat is lively. All right, so I'm going to have a lot to catch up on. I don't think I'll get through everything in this 5 minutes. I'll have to catch up at the end. Okay, I see you all have given me a lot of different suggestions for databases, for storing the images, so I'm seeing all that. I'll save all those so I can refer to them and then see about, maybe check them out and see which one we should use. Oh, okay. Brian, I just saw your comments there about the border on the links. So, it's saying it says not clear. He's saying it's not clear UI without some sort of distinction between the buttons and the background. So there should be some type of border distinction. Okay. And just to clarify, let me know if are you referring to these or both? I mean, obviously this does have a hover effect, but I could see your comment could definitely apply to both. So let me know what you were thinking specifically. If you're still watching, if you're still here, please let me know. Technichrono says Pomodoro, bruh. Yes, Pomodoro. He says, I can't even do more than 5 minutes of coding before I visit Reddit/YouTube. It's easier to focus if you do the Pomodoro because you know it's like, all right, 25 minutes. I'm going to ignore everything except the code. I'm not saying I always do that. But when I'm in the zone, I definitely do, like, I do my 25 minutes, I ignore everything, and then I do my best during the 5 to just not think about the code, and then just go right back to it. So that's best case scenario. That's how it works. Sometimes you get interrupted and you can't ignore it. It's important, but otherwise, the Pomodoro is nice because it helps if you know you only have to focus for a certain amount of time and it's a relatively short period of time, and then you can relax for a little bit. If you're just saying, like, man, I got hours and hours of work, let's just get to it, that's pretty tough, right? Like, if you're running a marathon, like, you don't just sprint the whole way, right? You're never gonna make it. But, like, if you knew you could take breaks along the way, then you might sprint and then rest and sprint and then rest, and that would be legitimate and doable. It would be like interval training. But it's the same thing with your brain, right? I don't know. Hopefully that made sense. Hopefully you'll know what I'm talking about. At least it works for me. But I think at least somewhat that's the idea behind it. Technichronos says, I'm 37 and my attention span is as long as my baby daughter's. Joshua says, I did over 1 hour and 30 minutes of coding and I'm 10. Wow. So Joshua, 10 years old and doing coding, that's awesome. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you're getting something useful out of this. That's really cool. My oldest is 8 years old, and really interested in getting him more excited about coding, get kind of into it. So you'll have to let me know what you really like about coding as a young person. Maybe that'll help me out with my kids. Let's see. Blake asks, what local web server is he using? Is it Nginx? Okay, Patrick says it's a hot module reloader with Webpack. That's it. Joshua says, question, in my website, when I put done the code for buttons, the buttons only affect the first questions. Help me, please. Okay, cool. It looks like some of you in the live chat are helping out Joshua with his code question. So, Joshua, let me know if you need extra help. Let me know. I don't know if you're on Twitter or anything, but usually if people need extra help, they message me on Twitter. But you can put it in the comments on YouTube or whatever is best for you. If you want to email it, that's cool too. Okay, my 5 minutes is up, so I'm going to stop going through the live chat, and I'll come back to it after our next session is over. Let's see. I do want to see Blake's answer. Okay, or I'm sorry, not Blake, Brian's answer about the buttons. So Brian says the hover effect is good once you're hovering over it, but a border would make it very clear for the user without having to navigate and guess. Okay. Okay, cool. Let's check that out. Actually, so I think we have more options than this built in to Material UI. At least there was for Materialize. So I'm assuming we have it in Material UI. So let's just check out what they have and see if it'll fit what we're trying to do. So it should be under car. Looks like they don't. Let me check out Materialize. I really thought there was another another style that I remember seeing. Maybe not. Maybe where did I see that? I guess I didn't. So the difference in Materialize is they do have this border here. I kind of like that. I may add this in. I do like that distinction. Now they've gone with a slightly different. So the same color that's used throughout for links is used for the button. So that would be a visual cue. So I like that. Let's go to material design, guidelines, just to double check. And see what they're doing. Okay, so similar. So their basic example actually does look, well, it's almost a combination. So it does not have the line there, the border, but it does have the accent color. Let's see what kind of options. Okay, so here, this is actually the style that Material UI is using. Okay. Okay, here we do have the border. So it looks like all of these options within Material Design are valid, they're used, but yeah, so I'm not seeing. Not seeing a border. Alright, so we're not really going to get any ideas, I think, from Material Design Spec, because it looks like they're not using that, but I'm almost positive that I've done it before. So let me just check out a few of the sites that I've done. I'm going to bring up on my other screen, and I'll pull them over if I find it. Like, where have I used cards that I know? Alright, so let's check this out. Wow. I must be losing my mind. Even so, I've been consistent throughout all my sites in that basically I have used the card actions without border, but I have always done I've capitalized it, and I've used the link color, which is usually your accent color. So a lot of times I do this. Sometimes I do a blue. Depends on the color scheme for the site. I think I did a red for the last project, and I think I've gone with a slightly darker or a slightly heavier font weight. So let's just see how it looks with that. I kind of want to add I want to see what it looks like with that line. I think it'll probably look a little bit better. So I'm going to add in the line. I'm going to change this to a color that is the same link color that we're using on the rest of the site. And we'll see how that looks. I don't think I use this hover effect in any of my other sites. I'm not opposed to using it now though. Okay. What color? I should probably let me grab this color first and see how it looks. I'm not really sure that I want to keep this color yet, but at least it'll just give us something to look at. Alright, so if we go in here to our image container, card container, we should be able to do what I should do is make all these colors variables, and then have maybe a colors.css file and then import it, which maybe we'll do that at some point, but for right now I think this will be okay. Alright, let's there we go. Okay, so we have that. Let's see. Where's our div? There we go. So we want this div. Alright, here's a border. Let me bring this over, because I keep referring to this, so it might be a good idea if I show it. So basically, I've just done, on this div, which contains our action items, I've just done a border. Obviously, I don't want to keep it that gray color. Let's go with maybe 54, see how that looks. I think that's still too dark. There we go. That looks better. If I decide to keep it, I'll look up what it actually is and materialize, but actually, I have a thought. What we really want people to do when they go to the logos is download a logo, but we're not actually saying anywhere download the logo. And we may be doing that here. At the top. So I'd like to check out what language we have there already. Okay, so we are saying please select a logo to download. So we're giving some direction. So maybe we ought to have, say, download. Maybe we should say download here and then give them these options. And then that would make it would make it clear the action that should be taken. Okay, yeah, what do you think? Let's let me grab this, and we don't have a class for that yet, so let me just put it over here for now. We'll see about adding a class, but I think I need a title. So let's go, so we could see here. So here's our generic card. Here we go. Card title. Yeah. How do we do that? I'm gonna have to look back at how we originally imported all the different options, because I can't remember how we did it for that generic card component. I thought I had it up available on a screen beforehand. But I guess not. So let's go back. We're going to find so in our logos view, we had an example. Oops. Yeah, this was it. So we had an example of the cards. There we go. That's what we want to see. So we can go back. So this is one of the great things about Git, also in GitHub, that we can go back to all these previous versions and see So even though this hasn't been in that file for a little while, we've had many saves since then, we can still check it out. So what I'm interested in is card title. There we go. So that's what I think we'll probably want. And then we'll also, let's see. No, that's not what I wanted. Sorry about that. What I wanted was this one. Okay, so yeah, here we go. So card title, we'll import that, and then let's see how we did it. Okay, so we just put a string in, and that's our title. Okay, that's pretty straightforward. But nothing wrong with double checking, I guess. So I'm gonna put it here just to, because this is how it appears, you know, on the page. So it makes sense to me to be right there. Let's see how that looks. Not really sure. Yeah. Okay, I don't like that. That's way too much space. Way too much. But at least it gives us something to look at. Visualize. Yeah, this part is hard. I guess it's hard to share what I'm seeing in my head with all of you unless I actually put it on here. So this will be some trial and error. This part, if I get rid of this part, maybe it would look better. Okay. Actually, I don't dislike this as much. I'm still not sure. I don't like that it's very repetitive saying download every time, but I'm not sure. All right, I'm gonna go to the live chat because I've tried a few things here and I want to see what you all think. All right, it looks like somebody had a good idea because I'm seeing people saying like this idea. So let me scroll up and try to find the beginning of this idea. Oh, okay. John Hansen said, asked, does Material UI have a download icon? That is a great idea. So let's check it out. Sweet. So download icon. That could work. Now, does Material UI has their own icons, correct? Let's see. Okay, you can do it. So if you'll remember from the last project, I prefer to use SVG icons instead of font icons for several reasons. One, if you use an SVG icon, I usually, now in this case, I'm not sure how they're bringing in the SVG icons, but when I do it on my own, I only bring in just the one that I need, and I put the actual SVG code right there in line, so nothing has to load. There's no network request. With font icons, I mean, you have at least one network request to get the font, And you're getting extra icons that you'll probably never use. I mean, really, you only use, I mean, maybe, I never use more than a dozen font icons on any site, and probably usually no more than a half a dozen. And a font icon set could come with a lot more than that. You could do a custom font icon set, which I've done before as well, to try to keep it small. But the other thing I don't like about font icons are I've had issues with different browsers not displaying them properly, and it's been hard to troubleshoot because I can't always replicate the issue, and I've gotten screenshots from users, so I know it is happening. But then it's difficult to kind of really see what's going on. So I've never had that problem with SVG icons, so that's why I prefer SVGs. So let's check out how they do it. Okay, so it looks like they already have some they already do have some components. Well, let's see. Do they have a list of these somewhere? So if they have a download icon, which seems like a pretty common icon already, we may be able to just use that like they're doing here. Actually, I'm just going to guess, because if I had a file download icon and I was naming it like this, then I'm going to guess, unless one of you have already, let's see, material UI, co.icon. It looks like Brown already found it. Alright, it took a little bit of the fun out of it, but it'll probably be faster this way. I was just going to try to guess based on what they were naming. Did I mess it up? Swissbee.com. Let's see. I just saw, as I was looking over the live chat, Curtis asked, "Can I use this project on my portfolio?" Yeah, I guess so. I mean, are you saying you want to help work on this project and put it in your portfolio? Then, I mean, yeah, that's fine, because whatever commits you have are certainly yours. Or you want to use the project as the basis to build your portfolio on, I'm fine with that as well. So either way is fine with me. Okay, so since that link didn't work, let's try this. Alright, so what I've done here is I've just guessed really at what the name should be, and this is really I could have looked it up, but I just thought it would be fun to guess. So I'll try it. If it doesn't work, then I'll look it up. Where's it at? Oh, it's here. Icon styles is not defined. No undefined. Line 50. Alright, so it looks like it's not going to work. Line 50. Oh. Let's get rid of that. Just see. Okay, so it didn't find the module. Alright, we'll look it up. There we go. SVG icons. Actually, did I add this? I don't remember if I added this. That might be why we can't get it. Let's check it out. I don't have material icons. So let me. I've obviously have some icons, right? Because we have an icon. Let me get rid of this. So how am I using icons? So see, like obviously we have an icon, so what is going on? Alright, so what do you think? Real quick, I only want to take maybe like 2 minutes on this. Is it worth it to pull in the entire Material UI icons? Do you think we'll use that many icons that it's worth it, or should I just grab the SVG really quick and put it in there from Material icons? Which why not? Why not just download that now, just in case we end up using it? Oh, okay. Importing named exports in this way. Okay, this might not even work because I might not be using that. Alright, cool. Everybody thinks we should just do the SVG really quick, and that is fine with me because that's what I am used to doing anyway. So see, look at that. It's so simple. Like this tiny amount of code. Like you just copy and paste it. Really simple. There it is. That's what we're looking at. Okay, so let's do this. Let me see if I can. Let's see if I can pass it in here, if it'll work. Yay, it worked. Okay. Awesome. So we have a download. It not ideal right now. Yeah, I might just get rid of this effect. And then we need to put in some text. I'm not sure. Let's see if it'll let me do this. Worth a shot. Yeah. Not working. So let's. Alright, that works. Well, at least we got what we wanted on the screen. I don't know why I thought that I could do the first thing. Now that I think about it, it was really obvious that that would not work. Alright, so I need to change. Obviously, I need to make this line up a little bit better, but what do you think? I mean, that's really hard to tell. Maybe I should line it up better because it looks really weird right now. So let's see what's going on here. I could probably just make this bigger, and then it might work. So what do we have? Height, width. Let's just double it. See what that does. Whoa, way too big. Distance. Yeah, it's too small for sure. Okay, we need to make this bigger. Alright, let's check out display flex align item center. Alright, cool. Thank you, John Hansen. I just saw your advice. Let me get rid of that. Nope. Do that on the wrong element. Space on. Okay, we could try align items. Maybe I should put this text in its own span, and then I could move it independently. That way, like potentially, maybe I could give it a little bit of padding and just bump it up. That might work. Cool. All right. Let's see. Actually, I'm gonna check my time. Oh wow. I did not hear that go off. Did I forget to start it, or did I just totally miss? I don't know what happened. All right, let's see. I do want to try. I hate to have so many nested spans, but I just want to, I need to have it. Let's see. And that's not going to work because I'm inside. All right. Let me think. I had the same problem on what project was it? All right. I think I had the same problem on a project I did last year. So let me see. Although it's possible that it was with font icons and not SVGs. And that would be unfortunate because it might not work. Alright. I have it up on my other screen. And it was a font icon. And I was able to use vertical align bottom. I did not have the text in a separate span. But the font icon itself was actually vertically aligned bottom, so alright, not sure that it'll work since it's a font icon, but it's worth a shot. Oh, not bad. Middle, that's not too bad. That's not perfect, but that's a lot better. Alright, let me copy this in before I forget. On the SVG, it's vertical and middle. Alright, great. Button, SVG. See if that does it. All right, cool. Now let's make sure these are the same color. I don't think we need. Alright. Actually, this would be a cool way to show how to do variables and in sass. Alright, so we're using the same color here more than once, right? That's repetitive. Anytime we're being repetitive, we should be able to find a better way to do that. What do they call it? Dry. Do not repeat. Okay, so in sass, we have a cool way to save values. In this case, we're going to save this color. So let's call this FUS yellow. So FUS for Franciscan University of Steubenville, and then yellow because it's a yellowy color. And then we can put this hex color here. Now, when we use this down here, we can say FUS yellow, and that's the color. So if I save this, we should have this color. I think I can get rid of this now as well. And let's see. Whoa, what happened there? I messed something up. Oops. Gotta have semicolons. Alright, cool. So, see, there we go. Now, the font icon, or the SVG icon, and the text are both the same color, and we've used this variable. Now, I guess it'll be cool to see what the CSS is. So, on this side is the sass, but this is what actually gets sent to the browser. So you can see here, like the variable isn't even there anymore. Instead, it's just the correct hex. hex code for that color, and then you can see instead of things being nested, it's proper CSS. So it's pretty cool, really useful feature. And the cool thing now, it doesn't seem like much now because it was only 2, but potentially if we had a lot of different components that were all sharing that same color, and then let's say I go show this to the other people in my department and they say, I really hate that yellow, all I have to do is go in here and change it. I mean, potentially I could name this something more generic, like link color or accent color, and then I could change it to whatever color I want. It wouldn't make sense to change the color, I guess, if I'm calling it yellow. So I could do something like this: link color FUS yellow. Link color, and then I could save that. Oops. And you can see it's already in my editor picked up that that's the color, and if I go in here and give it a refresh to be sure, see, it picks it up too. Now that actually makes even more sense, because now I can still basically, I can have color variables for all my entire color palette, and actually let's do that. This is the color palette for Franciscan University. So minus, let's get rid of, I didn't want to, there we go. I actually changed the yellow to make it a bit darker, so it's different. I'm pulling these from the style guide. I have it open on my other screen. So yeah, I don't know if I think I've shown you this before. So this is a style guide I made at some point last year. This was the first thing I think I ever successfully built in React, and I think this was done with, I can't remember if I did this with Create React App or with Next. I think I tried it with both. I don't remember what I ended up going with, but anyway, it's certainly not up to date with some of what I've been doing lately, but you could at least see like some of the colors and the ideas of like the direction that I wanted to go with this. So it probably wouldn't be too much work to get this up to date. But until now, I haven't, no one except for me and like one other person that I work with has ever even needed to reference this, so it hasn't been a really high priority. But anyway, that's where I got the colors from. And so like potentially then all I would have to do is put in like, let's say FUS dark blue in here, and then it would change automatically everywhere that I've used link color. So it could save a ton of time. Alright, so, let me get rid of this download text. Why haven't I taken that out yet? Let's get rid of that. And where's my title? Card title. Let's see how that looks. Okay. Not bad. Need to do the same thing for the PSD as well. I'm still not 100% sure whether I'll keep JPEG and PSD or whether I'll go back to the old web and print. We'll see. I'm not sure. What do you all think? People are used to having it say web and print instead of, so like web, print are the options. In reality, they have the option to get a JPEG version of the image and a PSD version. Should I switch it up because it's more accurate, or should I leave it like this? I mean, I guess this is just a more technical way of describing it. This is just describing what you would use it for. Not really sure. But I mean, it's not it wouldn't necessarily always be for web. If they wanted to put it into like a PowerPoint, that's not really a web, but you would still want to use this and not a PSD. All right, so last thing I'm going to do, I think, yeah, last thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to put an icon here as well, and then we'll commit this, and then I'll get to all the questions. So if you have questions, put them in there, or start thinking of them now, because I'll get to them. I'll probably be about 5 minutes. All right, so let's see. Let's take this out and make it. See if that works without me having to put parentheses around it. Then I can put it in. Oh, no. Where did I put that? Oh, inside masonry component. That's right. Oh shoot. Now I'm confused. I'm gonna add this up here at least so it makes more sense. There we go. I'm in here. I shouldn't have added this span. Actually, I mean, I'm probably making this more complicated, but than I should have. But the idea was maybe I ought to make this into a component that I can pass in this text to, and then it would be a lot more clean, and I wouldn't have to have all this SVG stuff in here twice. Does that make sense? Oh, okay, Patrick said, or just use the component that Material UI already gives you for file download icon. Well, I tried to figure out what that component was earlier, and I couldn't get it to work. So let's see. Oh, actually, no, you're right. There was one that you just had to put the SVG stuff in. My mistake. I forgot about that one. Okay, yeah, so let's see. What do we need? SVG icon. That is a great idea. Alright, so bringing that in, and then let's bring in props. Yeah, I could use that. I do want it to... I did want to be able to pass in the text. It doesn't look like I can do that. Maybe I can. Maybe I'm just not looking right. Okay, but I'm still gonna pull this in. Oops. Alright, let's see if that works. What did I do? Oops. Left an extra span in there. It was even in red. I don't know how I missed that one. Alright, let's check that out. Okay, yeah, I mean it worked. It's just not giving me the correct color. Let's see why. Okay, so it's actually added the color in. So what, they probably want me to pass the color in, right? Yeah. I don't. This ruins all my efforts over here to have to pass this color in. I almost want to just put important on the end so I don't have to change it, but I'll do it like this. So let's add color. And there we go. And then let's do the same thing here, but then let's add there we go. Alright, now, now we have our download icons. Okay, not bad. That looks a little bit more legit. Alright, cool. Let me commit this and then we'll do some question and answer stuff here to finish up. Yep, that's what we wanted. Alright, so looks like there's a lot in the live chat. So I'm going to scroll up to where I left off and try to get through as much as I can. So since there's so much, I'm definitely not gonna read everything out. So I'm just gonna focus on the questions, most especially on questions from people who are newer. Definitely want to help them to feel welcome. Not that I don't appreciate all of you that are here frequently. All right. Alright, so that's all up on GitHub now. Awesome. Okay. Alright, so I found where I left off at. Oh, it looks like at some point Joshua could not hear the stream. So, sorry, I didn't see that at the time. So, I'm not sure what the issue is. It looks like it doesn't look like anyone else is having the same issue. So anyway, I guess let me know if that was ever resolved and if you found out what the problem was. I'm not sure if it was anything on my end, but if it was, I definitely want to know about it so I can fix it. Okay, I do want to read this. It says, John Hansen said, Jesse, styledcomponents.com keeps your JSX code clean because you don't mess it up with CSS classes. You build a CSS component and style that in CSS. It nests just like SCSS. Next project. Yeah, actually, that sounds cool. Definitely check that out for the next project. Remind me if I forget though. if you're around, because I'm not sure how much longer this project will take. Actually, just to give you all an update, I'm thinking this project may end up being like another 2 weeks or so. Not that it would take us that long to complete it, because it probably wouldn't, but it's probably going to take that long for me to get feedback. So we had a department meeting this morning, and I did tell everyone that we need to figure out what exactly we want to update and change in this. And so I need everyone's feedback. So I'm just not really sure. I mean, everyone's busy. They all have their own things going on. So it's probably not going to be high on anyone's priority list. So I will keep reminding everyone. But really, it's not like we can't launch this without the changes. But it would just be good to know about them and do the changes before we finish, because it could possibly save us from doing some work that we may end up either getting rid of or changing. So anyway, so my prediction is at least 2 more weeks. I didn't really think we'd be working on it for that long, but there's been a lot of really nice improvements to this project and a lot of extra things that are really great to have, like all the testing that I was not anticipating that, but I'm glad that we have it now. Actually, Patrick said, pretty sure that's what he used in the last project. Yeah, now that you say that, you're right. I think that was called styled components. I didn't even remember it. I was reading through it. Yeah, so I think it was it styled JSX? Yeah, I just remember the tag that I had to use was style, and then I would have a space, and then I write JSX, and that was the tag. So I guess that was styled components. Not sure I remember what it was called, but I still remember how to use it. So I guess that's more important. Okay, so Skillful Mess asks, how do you install React? Sebastian says npm install save React. Yeah, you can definitely install React like that. If you're just getting started with React, though, I think probably using Create React App would be the best way to go. So look up Create React App, go to their GitHub repo, and then follow the instructions there. So it just depends on your skill level, right? So Create React App is going to do a lot of things for you to get you started so that you can get right to the React and don't have to worry about Webpack. So I'm not really sure what your skill level is in terms of Webpack, but you might want to go with something like that. Or Next.js also does a similar thing. Okay, Sebastian, I just saw your comment about making the buttons each occupy half the width of the cards. Alright, maybe I'll try that and see how that looks. Wow, okay, so Skillful Mess is 9 years old? Wow, that's awesome that you're able to code and follow this kind of stuff at 9 years old. So that's great. I'm gonna say the same thing I said to Joshua, who was 10 years old. Is if you get a chance, please let me know what it's like, what your motivation is like for coding, and how you got into it at such a young age. Because, like I said, I have an 8-year-old that I'd love to try to get him interested in coding. Skillful Mess says you should do a series of the Reddit programming challenges. Actually, we have someone doing programming stuff challenges from Reddit. I believe it's from Reddit on this channel already. So shoot, what is it called? I can't remember what the title is called. Maybe I have to look it up. I can't believe I have to look it up. I see it constantly. The Daily Programmer. That's it. So the series, The Daily Programmer, on this channel, Free Code Camp channel, is exactly that. So so check that out. I do not have time right now to do another series, and in fact, the only reason I can have time to do this is because I'm doing my normal work. Otherwise, it would be really difficult to do something with this many hours every day consistently. Okay, cool. I just saw Brian had commented, the separation line with the link colors works well. Just don't think the plain black text makes enough of a distinction. And we're talking about this here. So that just reminded me that I did not leave that line in. So I'll probably end up putting that back in at some point, because I think that did make a nice distinction. So maybe I'd like to see it on more than just one, as I just tested on one, to see what I think, but what it really looks like. But I think that was kind of a nice distinction than them just kind of sitting there. Okay, I'm over halfway through the live chat now, so probably just not too much longer till I get to the bottom. So if you have any questions that you haven't put in here yet, I probably only have a few more minutes. Patrick, I just saw your comment about the file download icon being included already, so oh well. Rohan says, how does it do circular hover animations? Where I'm not sure where it's doing the circular hover. I mean, it does like the little ripple effect when clicking. So I'm not exactly sure, Rohan, if you're which hover animation you're referring to. All right. Emerson asks, does anyone know how to make the DevTools look black? Yeah, so DevTools, it looks like, okay, someone already answered. So just for anyone watching later on that can't see the live chat, it's really easy for DevTools. So you go into DevTools like you normally would, go up here to the icon for the menu, into Settings, and then Theme will be right up there at the top, and you can pick the dark or the light theme. And obviously I've picked the dark theme, and that's it. It's so super easy, comes built in. Alexander, I see now that you're trying to tell me to put the styles on the SVG and not the span, and so yeah, you were definitely right. Sorry I didn't see that sooner. QSKI is the name, says, why is there no super chat? I've never tried using the super chat, so from what I understand, the super chat is just if you want to get money from your stream. So I'm currently not interested in getting money for this stream, so I haven't tried super chat. If there's some other reason why I should be using super chat, let me know. But I thought it was just if you wanted money. Isaiah says, I'm having trouble deploying my portfolio React Router website to GitHub pages. Help. Okay, Isaiah, if you use Create React App for it, check out Gavin's pull request on my project. So Gavin just did the same thing for this project that I'm working on, and it was maybe pull request 35, somewhere around there. So check out the closed pull request. I think it's whatever the last one from Gavin was. If you follow those steps of kind of how he did things, it should work. If you didn't use Create React App, I'm not really sure. I guess I'd have to check out how you did things. But Create React App, the documentation on their GitHub repo does have a section for exactly how to get it to work on GitHub pages. Okay, when I asked you all about what to do, what words I should use here, JPEG, PSD, or whether I should put web and print. So some of the ideas here. Gavin says, keep what they are used to, in my opinion. Okay, Rohan says, go with web and print if people are used to it. Curtis says, leave it. Brian says, JPEG and PSD, that tells me exactly what I'm getting. I usually think of a print logo as some sort of vector format. John Hansen says JPEG PSD. It looks like we're pretty split. Okay, Rohan says maybe you could do screen and print. Actually, yeah, that would be more accurate than web and print. Yeah, maybe I like that idea. Yeah. Okay, I'll think about that. Screen, if I do change it from JPEG and PSD, I think I'll probably go with screen and print instead of web and print. David said you should define the palette in another file and then import it in the other SCSS files. Yes, that's definitely what should be done. I was just kind of thought it might be cool to just demonstrate it, so I just did it all right here. But obviously, because I'm not even using these yet. But yeah, ideally, since I have lots of different sass files, I would want to have, let's say, my own sass file that I could call like palette or colors or whatever I wanted to. I could even call it variables if I could have other things besides colors in there. And then anytime I was going to use one of those variables, I could just include it. I could import it at the top and then have access to it in these other files. So that would be the better way to go. So I'll probably do that. Whenever I work on the next page where I need to use these, then I'll probably pull them out and do it properly. Brian says, do they have vector formats of those logos? I always prefer vector. Yeah, it's actually surprisingly like somewhat not straightforward to get different logo formats around here. So I agree. I prefer the vector formats. So if I can get them, I'll try to get them, but it's not like I've requested them before and then been given like JPEGs. So I'm not really sure what's up with that, but usually I just kind of let it go. And but I'm with you there. The vector versions of the logos would be ideal. Okay, Sebastian, I saw Sebastian mentioned again. Wouldn't it look better if each button occupied half the card with center aligned text? I'll try it out. Alexander says the top row navigation on logos page is not looking good on mobile. Will you fix that? Yes. So the idea is so right now, this to give everyone an idea, right? Yeah, it looks terrible, really bad. The idea is to change this into a select input or like a drop down menu. Once it gets to a certain, so probably I don't want it to drop onto two lines, so probably really early on it's going to go to a drop down. Maybe I could probably do with a little bit less space between these and it would still work, but at some point it'll go to a drop down. Mindblocks Coder says, I like your FreeCodeCamp website, Jesse. Actually, like the FreeCodeCamp website is not, it's not really mine. So I just volunteer and do this for FreeCodeCamp. There's a lot of other people that volunteer and do other things and that have worked on the website, and so I haven't actually contributed at all to the FreeCodeCamp website. Although that would be cool to do someday. For now, I'm just doing these videos. But thanks though. Thanks. Okay. Alright, so I've gotten to the end of the chat. I've gotten through all the questions. Still got a few suggestions we could try out on this, but definitely looking better than it did at the beginning. And we learned how to use SVGs within Material UI and to utilize their SVG icon component. So that was pretty cool. So I think what else? Yeah, I mean, other than that, I mean, it's some basic stuff, but learned a little bit about sass along the way. So not bad, not a bad job. I haven't looked at the time in quite a while, but oh yeah, almost 2.5 hours for today's stream. So I guess it's a good time to wrap it up. Thanks so much for everybody that stuck around. We still have people still watching after 2.5 hours, so thank you. Thank you all for watching, and you know, everybody that's going to watch this later on, and I really appreciate it. I'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be a weird time. I have a meeting scheduled at 2:30, and then I also have a doctor's appointment at 10:30. So I'll sometime tomorrow morning I'll put on YouTube and then on Twitter when I'm gonna stream. I really want to stream tomorrow. It might end up having to be a short stream at a weird time, but depending on how long my doctor's appointment is, maybe I can do a stream from like 1 to 2 Eastern time. That seems like that might be doable, but I'll let you know tomorrow. So anyway, thanks again for watching and for all your help in the live stream and for the pull requests, and it's just overwhelmingly generous of you all. I really appreciate it, and I'll be back tomorrow. Have a great day.